Hey guys, Phobia here. Once again, you already know what's coming out. We are bringing you our Dragonflight shadowpriest PvP guide for Season 1. This is going to be what I feel after all my testing is best for most scenarios, if not all scenarios, whether that be being trained, free casting, whatever. This feels like the most output you can do in any situation. Now, obviously, there will be other builds out there that are very specific for a situation, but I feel like you can get away with any situation running this build. All right, we got our Eye of the Old Gods on. We got the Nazoth speaking in our head with tactics. We got Zaltath over here and all the knowledge of the universe. We are ready to go. We got some testing for y'all. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring us into the game. I will give you guys my build, maybe an alternate build to run, and then test on different dummies. So we're gonna do single target, and then what happens if you're doing spread pressure. So we have the cleave dummies to our right. If you have a couple people dotted, how the damage would look there. So we're gonna go ahead and go at it. All right. So let's go ahead and start with the priest side. Okay. So we're gonna do our first line because these are already given to us. So I'm gonna start with the improved flash heal. You got to go that just because you get that extra healing. We don't do a lot of healing right now, anyways. Unless you're even for spam healing, but the extra 8% of healing on your flash heal is really nice. You got to go Purify Disease because of Unholy Decay. Some of them might be running the disease build. Dispel all the diseases. It slows their pressure and ramp up down, and obviously against other Shadow Priest. Psychic Voice is a must to reduce your psychic scream to 30 seconds. It puts people off kilter. It can throw them off script, and it just lines up well for peeling and doing goes. Protective Light is also, I think, more important here than From Darkness Comes Light, mainly because of MS. So you might get a 50% increased flash heal over a minute, but it's not going to really heal that much. I'd rather throw up Protective Light walls during goes, right? You see your healer's about to get CC'd. Maybe you can preemptively throw up a flash heal on yourself or whatever. Or even during the go, you might be able to trinket and then spam flash heal if you juke a kick or however that might go. And you might actually live with the 10% damage reduction. So it's really, really good. It also has the thing, though, where if you heal someone else, look, if I heal this guy, it gives it to me. I'm pretty sure that's a bug because it's not supposed to work like that. It does say casting flash heal on yourself reduces the damage you take. So I'm pretty sure that's a bug, but it does work, guys. All right, Leap of Faith is obviously a must, along with Move with Grace. In 3v3 and 2v2 arena, that's a must because a 30-second lower cooldown, making it a minute Leap of Faith. It looks like here, that's insane. Instead of a minute and a half, like you can save people and just continuously kite and set that up with people on go. So I think that's a must play here. I run MD and improved MD. The only time I don't run improved MD is versus maybe a comp that has literally no magic or CC at all. So I can't even think of one. Rogue, Warrior, Mistweaver. I guess like that's the only one. There's not a lot of comp out there that don't have magic CCs or goes. You know, with Priest out there with mind games, you can save your healer with a quick MD, Hodges, dispel Hodges, bubbles, whatever, right? Like there's so many things you can do. Ice blocks, like having an improved MD is just so good, guys. I recommend running. Just keep going in your builds. I do run Body and Soul instead of Angelic Feather. The reason I do that is it's one less keybind, and we're already keybind starved, but that's not even the main issue. The main issue is even with Body and Soul, unless you have a freedom with your Fade or Paladin or maybe a Hunter for some reason, if you're playing with the Hunter, you don't have a freedom to kite. So having the feather only matters if you're not slowed. Well, everybody in the freaking game except Shadow Priest has a freaking slow. Okay, so I don't know. I've used it so much and I do not like it. Okay, I don't. I just keep the Body and Soul, pair it with your freedom, with your Fade, and go from there. Now I know some people are gonna be like, "Why are you not going Unholy Nova into Blessed Recovery?" Crit rate is not that high right now. Obviously, it's season 1, so you being crit to begin with, it probably won't be that high. But 20% healing over 6 seconds is not that much healing either. So at the moment, unless there's higher crit chances, I don't feel like Blessed Recovery is the way to go. And then Spell Warning, 3% reduced magic damage isn't also that much right now to begin with. So I just don't know yet. I haven't really seen much use for it. Is kind of what I'm saying. So before anybody asks why, at the moment in season 1, I don't see it being as useful. Okay. That being said, power infusion, Twins of the Sun Priestess for double PI. Lock it in, right? Giving 2 people PI means there's double purges people have to do. Like, oh shit, who do I purge? So it could be like who are we gonna stop here at the moment kind of situation. So if you're playing with the Warlock, you both get PI. That's insane, right? So you have to go it. Twist of Fate. Anytime somebody goes below 35% HP, you got 10% damage and healing buff for 8 seconds. That can be really good if you're doing spread pressure and hitting multiple targets. You can have that up for a while. That plus your mastery, that's a lot of extra damage, right? Okay. So that being said, Twist of Fate. And now back up here. Phantasm. Activating Fade removes your snare effects. Like I was just saying, it's your freedom. It gets rid of your slows. Void Tendrils is a must because Sheer Terror, yeah, it takes longer for your Scream to break. So this is good in maybe World PvP or 1v1s. But it's going to break in a couple hits no matter what, right? Like the amount of damage that everyone's doing to all targets, like it's going to break. Void Tendrils is great. You can kite with that. Like you can throw a Void Tendrils, they have to target it to kill it or use a freedom. By the time that even happens, you can use your fade as a freedom if you're slowed to a body and soul and get around a corner. And now they can't get back to you just because you have a Void Tendril. You can Void Tendril people from trying to run away from your mind games, right? You can make them dispel, then you can Void Tendril them, then you can do your mind games and do your entire setup because they can't dispel or kite you because you just sit them there. So Void Tendrils is extremely good, guys. Obviously, you got to go mind control. Don't even have to tell you guys why. Now, again, another build you can run that I know people will definitely try from, obviously, the pre-patch is the Shadow or Death build, right? You get Shadow or Death, you get Death and Madness, which resets your Shadow or Death if you don't kill the person at below 20%. And then, obviously, Tith Evasion, so you take less damage. And you guys know the Shadow or Death speaker. I'll go over that when we go to the Shadow Tree. I don't like it. I don't like relying on RNG procs. I rather have consistent pressure. It is a build. It can do a lot of damage, but I don't like RNG. I like to control where my damage comes from, and that's kind of how it works. This would be really good in caster comps. Like, for instance, Shadow Play, it can be really good, right? RNG is all you need in Shadow Play because you're just spreading pressure. But if you do a setup Shadow Play or try to, like, make things happen, I'd rather control my damage. So it is a way to go, guys. I just don't run it. All right, that being said, down here to Vampiric Embrace and Saniline. Saniline reduces your Vampiric Embrace by 45 seconds and increases its healing to 25%. So it ends up being a 1.3 minute cooldown and 62% healing. Okay, so it's really good. It's a low cooldown and it can actually save you. And I'll give you some reasons why VE is insane with this build. I'll give you guys a breakdown here later on in the Shadow Tree. Down here to Throws of Pain, it's kind of just a filler. It just increases your Shadow Wear pain damage by 5%. I don't know why it's only 5% for two things. It used to be, I believe, 5, then 10%. I think they nerfed it. But 5% more damage is 5% more damage, guys. It's just a filler to get down to mind games. I go mind games, manipulation, and shadow perceptions. If you guys are new and you don't know what that is, shadow perceptions is our old conduit that increases your damage by your mind games and the reversal of the mind games and extends it. But the big one is manipulation, right? Your mind blast and mind spikes reduce the cooldown on mind games. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen builds out there that don't even run mind spike or any of these builds, right? Well, that's because I'm almost positive most people are not considering the fact that you reset mind games with that, right? You literally reset mind games from your Surge of Darknesses, all your instant procs, from all your mind games instant procs. Surge of Darkness makes it gives you easy mind melts without having to cast because it's Shadow Frost, right? If you get kicked on Mind Spike cast, you're gone. You can't do anything. So it's huge, guys. It's huge. This is an insane talent. I'm so glad we have it. I've had like 30-second mind games. I just back to back like so many procs. I love it. Like it's really nice to have. And again, without a mind games that's not on a kilter of CD tracking, throws people off. They don't have cooldowns for it, so you got to go that. Here's where some people might go different things, right? There's a 2v2 build, I believe, that could be good with Power Word Life, but I believe even this build is better for it. I believe going Translucent Image to give you 10% reduced damage on your fade, and 1 in Improved Fade, so it's 5 seconds less, right? Gives you a freedom, gives you a wall. So a good thing you can do in 3v3 arena is get a flash heal off into a fade right before a go is about to happen, and you have 20% damage reduction. Throw yourself up a huge shield, which will heal you, and you have angelic bulwark here. So this is kind of how this is going to play off, right? You have improved fade, you have crystallized reflection, which will heal you and do damage back to them, and then you have angelic bulwark, which is kind of like, if you think about it, it's kind of like the necro wall that you would get when you drop below 80% or whatever it was. I forgot. But then it give you like that 15% shield for you. It's kind of like that, right? But it's really good in this current meta where HP pulls are high, burst is not as strong, so you can literally flash heal, fade, shield yourself, and get an angelic bulwark before your healer gets out of CC. And you might not have to use no dispersion, no trinkets. Like, it could theoretically save a shit ton of cooldowns, right? Running this build here if you do it correctly, right? And then of course, Void Shift. Good old fashioned Void Shift, not a PvP talent anymore. Neither is improved MD. I love that. Just looking at the build, right? 2 PvP talents that we used to have, no longer PvP talents, just baseline. I love it. I love my Void Shift. So glad to have it back. But yeah, that's the priest side of the tree, all right? Now moving on to the shadow tree. So we have Devouring Plague right here. Baseline. Love it. Dispersion, Shadowy Apparitions, and Silence. Lock them all in. Have no choice. Lock them in. Don't even have to explain it. Next tree. Intangibility. Reduces the cooldown of your Dispersion and increases the gives you healing by additional 25%. So you get to heal for, or take 75% reduced damage and heal for 50% of your health. Essentially the same as it used to be, right? And increases your movement speed, and it's actually it removes all your movement impairing effects. So that's another good thing that to guys use. You can get out of slows and get around CC when you use dispersion. Don't just sit there in your dispersion and take that damage. If you have the opportunity, you can disperse and get yourself out of line of sight, and that's a good thing to try to wrap your head around when it comes to arena. If you're taking damage and you have to disperse, it's because you're getting effed up. Now, if it's obviously that's, comp dependent and situation dependent, but just keep that in mind. Don't just sit out in the open if you have nothing out of your dispersion and your healer CC'd or whatever. Okay. Misery. Misery is insane because Shadow Word pain gets applied by your VTs, but that also works with your damnation. Or not damnation, sorry. That also works with your Shadow Crash. So Shadow Crash applies VT, which we are speccing into, but I'm just going to, for example purposes, let me show you. So VT applies, or Shadow Crash applies VT to 8 targets, right? So if I VT all these guys, they all get Shadow or Pain also because of Misery, right? Anytime VT is applied and you have Misery, it applies Shadow or Pain. So essentially you get free dots on everybody. Now imagine fighting Demolux and Unholy DKs right now. They have a billion pets, right? They have a billion freaking pets. Imagine Shadow Crashing them. This is why I was talking about why VE is so strong right now with this build. Imagine Shadow Crashing them, popping Vampiric Embrace, and then just using all your procs to heal with all those dots on everybody, right? You have your VE up, you have, right? You just, let's say you have all your procs at the time, right? You have all your procs, and you're just healing yourself. 25k Mind Spike, 14k heal, 10k application of Devouring Plague, another Mind Spike proc, and you're just healing yourself, and you're just healing yourself. It's going to be really good in this current meta because a lot of people have a lot of freaking pets. So that's just a good example. Look at all these procs just never ending. And I'll go, part of the build I'm trying to go over with you guys. Right? All right. Let's go back. So that being said, Misery. Last Word. Oh, man, I wish this was by itself. I wish we could have Last Word and Psychic Core, but we can't. And we need a stun. So Psychic Core, just like we used to get, it's a stun. We're going to grab that. Okay. These next two sides, as you can see, we're going to grab Coalition Shadows, Puppet Master, and Harness Shadows. Now, why are we grabbing that? Coalition Shadows increases your Mind Blast and Mind Spike damage, and when it's consumed, it also gives 10% damage over time effect bonus, right? So you get 10% more damage, and you get to increase your Mind Blast. I'm going to show you guys how strong Coalition Shadows can be with all the rest of your procs, with your Mind Blast and your Mind Spikes. Let me show you just to break it down. Harness Shadows, when you have Mindbender, not Close Shadow. I'm going to go Puppet Master. I skipped over. Puppet Master, if you're running Mindbender, Shadow Fiend, all their attacks apply your Coalition Shadow, and then your Shadowy Apparitions give you 8% chance to get one. So you're always having it up. Now Harness Shadows increases the chance to gain your Coalition Shadows, and when you get critically striked, you get one automatically. So again, more ways to get this Coalition Shadows proc, which increases all your damage based on, and I have a bunch of procs, so they're always going to do more damage. Mind Spike, right? Mind Spike reduces the cast time if you're running Mind Melt, which I am. So every Mind Spike gets Mind Melt, which gives me 50% chance to crit on my Mind Blast, and reduces cast time to 100% if I use it twice. So 50% each time, 2 times stacking, boom. Surge of Darkness, your Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague damage has a chance to make your next Mind Spike be instant and deal 200% additional damage stacking 3 times. It stacks 3 times. Not that it stacks to 600%, just that you can get 3 stacks. Okay, just I know the tooltip's a little weird there, but let me show you guys how that works. So we're just gonna go ahead and with no dots, right? Oh, I gotta get dots to get the procs, but let me get the procs, and then I'll show you guys how strong this can be, okay? I'm just gonna get a Mind Spike proc. I don't have Devouring Plague up. I don't want to waste my... Actually, I guess I could just waste it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit just this cleave dummy, right? Just this cleave dummy. How much was that Mind Spike? Let's see. 14k Mind Spike. Oh, the 14k Mind Spike with no dots. So I had none of my mastery on there, right? So because with all 3 of your dots, 14k. Was that? I don't even think that was a crit. Nope, it went away. Hold on. I don't even think that was a crit. It wasn't. It was a normal hit. See right there? Mind Spike, 14.1k. That was a normal. Now if it would have crit, I've had a 25k crit apparently already. So that's just because of Coalition Shadows and Mind Spike proc. All right. Now if you have, let's say, all these guys dotted, and you get a Coalition Shadow and a Mind Blast proc. So let's go ahead and we got a Mind Blast proc. So let's go ahead and get our Coalition Shadows up. Now let's see how strong my Mind Blast will hit for. Here we go. 44k Mind Blast. That was insane. That was a 44k Mind Blast. Look at that. 44k Mind Blast. That's just a fucking Mind Blast. And it was instant. Look at 15k with no Coalition Shadows and no procs, and 15 instant. You guys saw how many procs I had right there, right? Now imagine consistently doing that in Arena. Just running around, Mind Blast proc. Look at all the procs I'm getting. Look at all the procs I'm getting. Just spamming damage. I know I have a lot of numbers up because I have all these guys dotted, so you're gonna see it all. Because I have classy floating text. I know it's a little overwhelming, but that's just kind of something I want to show you guys. Now, something I also want to show you guys, I want you guys to learn real quick, is how Encroaching Shadows work. Because we're moving down to Encroaching Shadows here, okay? We got this side. We got Shadow Crash here, but I want to show you guys Encroaching Shadows. We are speccing into it. I know I'm going a little bit ahead, but just because I'm on the train of how to teach you guys how to do this, I want you guys to see something, right? So Devouring Plague does 10,000 damage, 9,000. My proc went away, 9,000, right? The on-hit effect of Encroaching Shadows is benefited by your Coalition Shadows and by your Dark Evangelism, right? So it does 9,000 damage right now. Let's go ahead and stack this. Take that off. Take that off, right? So now we're going to go ahead and bust the wound. It's not changing. Hold on. It gets bugged half the time when I'm trying to set up my procs. Like I was doing this earlier, and like it would like randomly bug and not change. And now I have to like I had to get rid of the buffs like 5 times for it to show. Well, it's not changing the thingy for me right now, unfortunately. But yeah, the on hit effect gets affected by this, right? Right there. See, now it wants to show it, right? 16,000, right? The 16,400 on hit. So if we just take off the buffs, 16,000 on hit, right? And then it's gonna go down to 10,000 now. See if I take it off, 10,000. So it gets affected. I know it's a bug, and it's really annoying that it does that. The tooltips are all messed up for some reason. I've been trying to mess around with it, and see now it's back to 16,000. So yeah, so the on hit effect is affected by your damage over time effect. So when I actually just apply, I'm gonna wait for the dots to fall down, and I'm gonna go to keep the stacks up, and I'm gonna show you guys how much an on hit can do, right? So we're gonna do an on hit, 10,000 right there, non crit, right? A 10,000 application non crit, right? Now let's say 17,000 right there. That was just applying it, guys. That's just applying Devouring Plague with Encroaching Shadows. That's how much, just applying it is how much, that's how much damage I'm doing. Now, that also heals you, right? So you know the Devouring Plague, the damage heals you, right? Heals you for 50% of the damage dealt. That counts as well for it, okay? That also counts for it, right? So like now we have Twist of Fate up. So now we have Twist of Fate. We have Twist of Fate, which increases damage by 10%, and we have Dark Evangelism up, which is giving us the 16,000 right here, right, with both these stacks up. So now it's at 14,000. See right now, like Twist of Fate fell off, but now it's at 14,000. It's just a tooltip bug. I don't know why, but anyways, it heals you too when you have Vampiric Embrace up and just by itself. So that's all I was trying to tell you how strong Vampiric Embrace can be with all these procs. You can proc, and Encroaching Shadows can heal you for a maximum. Like I've healed the full with just my procs doing literally nothing else. Not mind gamesing, no nothing. So just wanted to show you guys that. I know it's a little bit of a ramble, but I am going over every single thing inside of this guide, so I'm sorry about that. I want to be very detailed. All right, now that being said, Mind Melt, Surge of Darkness, Mind Spike. All that is buffed with Coalition Shadows, Puppet Master, and Harness Shadows. They all go into each other. And as you can see, you can just spam 40Ks, 20Ks, 17Ks, 20Ks consistently with your proc, not even bursting, just proc. That's not even Dark Evangelism or Dark Ascension, nothing. Just pure damage, right? All right. Next up, speaking of, I do run Dark Ascension now at level 70. Why? The burst with all the rest of it is super nice having that extra button to push now. Now that we have all these extra talents, it just fits into the rotation nicely. It lets us do spammable damage. All this gets buffed. All that instant damage you saw gets buffed. And with PI, you're just spamming out all these instant proc, all these damage. It's so nice having Dark Ascension over. For me personally, Void Eruption is too long of a cooldown. To want to run 2 minutes is too much. But having a Dark Ascension on a 1 minute cooldown, going down here to running Mindbender and Mind Games on a 1 minute cooldown, right? Essentially, or under. You have a big go every 1 minute, and I love that. I love having just a big go, consistent pressure, big go, consistent pressure all the time. So that's why I run Dark Ascension. All right. Unfurling Darkness. You all know what this is. It's been in the game forever. Once you Vampiric Touch, you get an Unfurling Darkness proc, which does a huge on-hit effect. And it applies VT and Shadow or Pain, obviously, because of Misery. So just to go show you guys what it looks like, right? You go ahead and dot this guy. That's my Unfurling Darkness proc. See it right there. Unfurling Darkness. Boom. 13,000 on hit. Both dots are up. There we go. That's Unfurling Darkness, guys. And it does, again, it works with Damnation. As you saw, you can Damnation a target. It will proc Unfurling Darkness. And boom, there you go. Okay. Next up, I already talked about Shadow Crash. Whispers of the Dam. Whispers of the Dam, I like it just because, yes, you can get Mind Spike and Mind Blast crits a lot, and you get the 4 Insanity. But honestly, the reason I go it is to go to Encroaching Shadows. You have to get it to get Encroaching Shadows, and it gets that the points you need to get down here to Damnation. So all it does is when you Mind Spike or Mind Blast or Mind Spike, you get 4 more Insanity. That's all it does. Encroaching Shadows increases the Divine Plague damage by 75%. Like I said, I showed you guys how that works. And here we go, guys. Insidious Eyrie. We can 2 points into that. 40% more damage. And here, I got to explain to you why this is so good. I'm going to break it down to you guys like I just did earlier. Why is this so good? Okay. Coalition Shadows increases your damage by Mind Blast and Mind Spike by 10% each stack. So let's say you get 3 stacks, right? Let's say you get 3 stacks, but let's just say before you get 3 stacks, you had 2 Mind Spike procs. You had 2 Mind Spike procs. You're getting hit. Your dots are ticking or whatever. Oh, I don't have any dots on. Whoops, hold on. I need to get dots on. All right, let's just say you had. Let's hit this guy real quick. It's gonna break. Okay. Let's say you were, like I said, you throw out your dots. You get the procs out, and you're like, oh, nice. I can get all my dots on his target and get a huge Mind Blast, right? So you can do a huge Mind Blast, 2 Mind Blasts right there, 25k and 30k right there, right? I did 25k and a 30k right there just because I had all 3 dots on a target, right? You get this little buff up here, right? And you can just spam huge Mind Blast the entire time if you have Devouring Plague on a target as well. So the reason why Insidious Ire is so good is it increases all the procs that you're going to get anyways, right? You're going to get Cold and Shadow procs, which is going to give you Mind Spike procs. Mind Spike's going to buff your Mind Blast. Mind Blast is going to get bonus by Insidious Ire, which encroaches Shadows. So you can apply your Devouring Plague, get a huge on hit from Encroaching Shadows, get a Mind Blast or a Mind Spike, get a huge Mind Spike crit, get another Coalition Shadows. Then you have an instant Mind Blast that's going to crit with 40% more damage, plus 30% more damage if you have 3. Even one is 10% plus 40%, right? So, and it's gonna crit. Like I think yesterday I was doing a battleground and I did it's like 70k. I want to say it was a 70k Mind Blast, 72k. Maybe it was 82k. I remember like screaming on stream like what the hell. But yeah, I know I'm all over the place, guys. I'm just trying to. There's a lot of research and a lot of many things you have to pay attention to know how all this works as a Shadow Priest. So that's why I'm really trying to. Once I think of something, I want to tell you guys what it is. But that's why this works so well. All right, up next, I like Idol of N'Zoth. Okay, I tried Idol of Yogg-Saron free casting in a battleground. I got it up one time and I died as soon as I got it up, and it was in Temple of Katmagu. So I'm just sitting back there free casting. The reason why it's not good is because how they ruined it, right? You have to get 25 stacks of Idol of Yogg, or 25 stacks to summon him by your apparitions. Now, the crazy part about that is, it's not like how it should be. You dot 3 targets, you Mind Blast, you summon 3 apparitions, right? It doesn't work like that. That counts as 1. So you have to do 25 different things to summon apparitions to summon 1 Yogg. You might get lucky to do that in 1 arena if it's a long arena. Chances are you're realistically not going to get that off, right? But Idol of N'Zoth is a nice AoE that procs all the time. And it keeps people in if there's somebody's drinking, it'll bounce them back up. It does AoE if you have multiple people. But this is what I'm going to show you guys right now, right? This is why I have the cleaving dummies here to show y'all, right? They're all dotted. Look at that. They're already stacking. One right there, one right there, one right there. Look, they're all stacking. Now, the cool thing about Idol of N'Zoth is, look, it can, once it starts to go off, it can stack off itself again, right? Look at that. See? If this guy's going down, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Now, I've had it happen where I've had N'Zoth go off and continuously stacked higher. I had it go off and it went 4, for instance, 4, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3. Consistently went off, right? It can stack while it's falling. It doesn't just keep going till it reaches 0. It can literally fall and restack. Like I don't have any. Let's see if I can get. See right there. 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. You see what I'm saying? Like it was stacking back up. So that's why it's really cool. And in arena, if you have multiple people like on you, it can stack on the pets too. So the pets can hit the DK, the pets can hit the Warlock, the pets can hit whatever, and you can just be cleaving people. Look at this. They're blowing up for 2,900, 1,400, 1,400. Just, that's a good amount of spread pressure, and they can keep bouncing on. They can have 2 or 3 at a time, 4 at a time. So I personally think it's a great pattern. I love the way it pads. Just pads up for free. And it stacks really fast. So that's a good, I love that it stacks fast. And it gets buffed by your damage over time effects. So all your shit buffs it. Out of Cthulhu could be really good if you're free casting. But you're not really spamming Mind Flay enough to free cast like that, right? You could be, but you have too many procs to have to worry about Cthulhu, but it does do a shit ton of damage when it goes off. It really does. Down the rest of this tree, Shadowy Insight gives you the instant Mind Blast. Your Shadow or Pain damage has a chance to give you a free Mind Blast and cause it to be instant. So that's where you see that little purple bar show up on the middle of my screen. That's the Mind Blast proc from Shadowy Insight. Dark Evangelism when you mind flay, you stack up to 10% dot damage. That's this right up here. Right, you see Dark Evangelism. Periodic damage is increased by 10%. And then we have a Coalition Shadow. Look at that. Your periodic damage is increased by 10%. Your periodic shadow damage is increased by 10%. 20% dot damage for free, right? So I like that. I like how they complement each other. All right, this is why Mind Flay Insanity. I don't like Death Speaker. People run the Death build like I told you guys. I like Mind Flay Insanity. It actually does a crap ton of damage. It gets buffed. It gets buffed because it's considered a damage over time effect by Coalition Shadows and Dark Evangelism. But the main reason I use it is to get Dark Evangelism up, right? So my main reason for this is to get Dark Evangelism up, right? Four stacks instantly, and it's a super fast cast. I don't have to do a 4-second cast to get it up, right? I just pop a Devouring Plague, 2-second cast, big amount of damage, 9k ticks, right? And boom. And now I have it up. And since Mind Flay can give Coalition Shadows, it's another plus. So it just works good. It's a good filler, right? If you have nothing going on, if you have no procs, like if you have no procs, you throw out a Divine Plague, Insanity. Look, I got a proc, and you don't have to channel the whole thing, by the way, chat. You don't have to channel the whole entire thing. It's just use it as a filler. And then when you have procs, you can stop it if you want to. You don't have to, but you can if no one has a kick up. And then you can just look at instant Mind Blast, 2 Mind Blasts right there. And it's just a really good filler and does a pretty good amount of damage. Okay. This is so I was trying Screams of the Void, but unless you're spamming Mind Flay, you're not gonna get as much out of it. It's really good with Mind Flay Insanity. Don't get me wrong. But Mind Flay Insanity is such a fast cast that once you're done with it, you're not gonna keep spamming. Is my point. So the Shadow Fiend into Mindbender, but with Inescapable Torment is actually really good, right? It's actually really good. So I think that's a better throughput than running Screams of the Void. Maybe Malediction can be good for a lower Damnation. And yes, guys, I'll go over something with Damnation here in a second also. But Inescapable Torment, after testing last night when I got off stream, seems to put more throughput on its own because it's just a passive. I don't have to worry about it, right? So this is essentially what you're going to do, right? I'm not going to dot anybody at all. I am just going to throw out the Shadow Fiend, or Psy Fiend, and then just Mind Blast, Death, Mind Blast, right? And then let's just see. Oops. I messed up there. There we go. Right? It did 111k damage right there. Plus my Mindbender doing its own damage right there, right? So it goes off of your Death and Mind Blast. So if you have a bunch of people dotted, I don't want to dot these people, so you actually just see the damage it's doing on its own without all the billions of numbers. But if you have people dotted, this can take more damage because it gets affected by your mastery, right? So that being said, it does all that damage on its own as a cleave, right? It's really nice. Obviously, there's all these people, but if you have 2 or 3 people, it's really nice. You can cleave pets with it, maybe kill Hunter's pet with it while you're doing a go. But it also increases the duration of your Mindbender. So let's say you get 10 seconds. Let's say you have 10 extra seconds of Mindbender. That makes your Mindbender 25 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. So it's only down for 35 seconds, essentially. So you can have it up pretty quickly. So it can be really good to line up with the Mind Games, because Mind Games will be on a lower cooldown. And you might be able to get a Mind Games and a Mindbender in maybe 2 in a minute if you can get it off fast enough, right? With the Insanity and instant procs. But generally, a good thing with that is you want to set up your Mindbender, right? So you're going to want to make sure you have people dotted. You want to PI, get in a Dark Ascension, then throw out your Mindbender into a Death. Even if you're not running Death build, just throw the Death out just to get him to hit everybody. Mind Blast proc, Mind Spike proc, faster Mind Blast, another Mind Spike, another fast Mind Blast, Devouring Plague as a filler, right? Another Mind Blast, instant Mind Spike, Mind Blast proc. Here comes another Mind Blast, and it's gone. Okay, it's gone now. And look at all that damage. Plus, you have Echoing Void hitting everybody. So you have Echoing Void, cleaving, Shadowy Apparitions, cleaving, Inescapable Torment, cleaving, right? And it's all based on these procs. You have all these procs going off, plus your regular damage. Like, it's a lot of damage, guys. It's a lot of damage. And I feel like that's better. And then in between and after your go, you still have your Mind Flay Insanity fillers for damage. That gives you Mind Spikes and all that. So you have so much procs and fillers throughout this entire build, and I love it. I love it so much. It feels really good to run. It feels like you do a crap ton of damage. Now on to PP talents. Void Volley is good into melee cleaves, especially if you're going to use it as a peel. If they're going new and you can't get damage out, you can go Precognition, Beta Kick. I think Precognition is super important against RMP. You can probably try to Beta Kick before a go. They can't CC you. You can MD their CC or whatever. Any setup, this could be really good against if you can bait kicks. A good thing you can also run that I like to do sometime versus melee, especially in solo shuffle. You guys have seen it, Driven to Madness and Void Origins. You essentially can get your instant Dark Ascensions all the time, or you can do Driven to Madness and Void Volley if you think you're good at juking kicks. Get your Dark Ascension up all the time, 30-second cooldown. Lines up all the reduced cooldowns of everything, right? You have a reduced Dark Ascension, you have a reduced Mind Bender, you have a reduced Mind Games, and then you have a Void Volley every 35 seconds. It could be a huge go on resets. I did that a lot during the pre-patch and solo shuffle. We hit like 26-33 CR in solo shuffle. I ran this build a lot. It was a lot of fun. But generally, I run Precog, Siphene, and the best one of all, Catharsis. Catharsis is freaking insane, guys. Freaking insane. 20% all damage you absorb turns into a buff on you, and you get to hit somebody with your Shadow Arcane for 15% of their health, and it can crit. It can crit. So, and it works off Damnation. So let's say you have a Damnation, you're about to do a go, you have a huge Catharsis. You can literally do a full go with Dark Ascension, your pet, Mind Games, Death, Catharsis. And that's going to be all that at once. Look at all that damage at once. All that damage at once. And if I don't even have a Catharsis to show y'all, but then you add Catharsis to that, right? The go is insane. And like I said, you can apply it with Damnation if you wanted to use Damnation for your go. It's so much damage. And Damnation applies all the on-hit effects, right? So you have the on-hit effect of your Shadow Word Pain, you have the on-hit effect of your Devouring Plague, on top of Catharsis. It adds all the on-hits when you use Damnation. Damnation does its own damage. So it pairs well with Catharsis. And you can spam it. There's no internal cooldown. It's insane. I love it. I think it's the best ability. I run it 100% of the time. If I'm going to take out any talents, it's one of these two. I never get rid of it. So, yeah, that being said, like I said, Void Volley is really good into melee. You can run this right here, Catharsis, Void Volley, Siphene into melee comps. You can do a go, throw a Siphene on the healer if you want to go healer, whoever you're going. You already know how it works. They get hit by it. They can't be peeled. It actually does a lot of damage now, Void Volley does. It does a lot of damage now. So it's actually viable, and not just as a CC. It does good damage to melee. So I'll probably be using a lot this exact build right here into melee just because I'm pretty good at juking kicks, and I don't really have to worry about CC as much with the current health pool, and we're pretty tanky at the moment, especially with running Bulwark and Swap. But again, it's going to be comp dependent. It's going to be situationally dependent how good the players you're playing against, if you lose to them often, to change your PvP talents. But this is generally what I run here. Secondly, I do not run Idol of Yar Siraj. I personally don't feel like it's all that great. I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of comments in the chat about my build or builds that are better or that I rambled too much. But at least my rambling and my build is going to give you guys information in this guide, not just play this talent. Like, I'm going to give you guys what I think it's good, why it's good, how it works, how it coordinates. So yeah, I like running the Mind Bender with the Inescapable Torment because it cleaves and extends the Mind Bender. I feel like it's better than Screams of the Void, which I was using, and it just puts out the most throughput with this build, right? All the procs plus a Mind Bender bursting. You have Dark Ascension to assist with the burst. You have a filler with your Mind Flay Insanity. You have the Mind Games. This build, in my opinion, works for every situation because you have Mind Flay Insanity when you have the downtime for good damage. Obviously, you're not going to spam it, but then you have procs in between everything else. Mindbender Burst, Idol Nazoth, AoE cleaving people, Insidious Irie for big mind games, which can get buffed by Coalescing Shadows, which gets buffed by Mind Melt, you can Encroaching Shadows for fucking 36k damage. I've done that before, 40k damage. It's just insane, guys. Like I just love my build. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any comments, concerns, questions, gripes, want to make fun of me, whatever you guys want to do, just leave it in the comments below. And I shall see you guys in the next one. I know it's a long video, but please leave a comment and a like if you enjoyed the video. Come to see me, twitch.tv/Phobia Gaming. And I shall see you guys in the next one. Oh, before I leave, haste versus gear. Okay, haste first. I'm running the insignia of alacrity. Make sure you guys are in haste first gear. And I did forget to tell you guys racials. My bad. I kind of skipped over a big part of the class. The best races for ally: Dark Iron Dwarf, Panda, Human, or Night Elf. In my opinion, Dark Iron Dwarf is gonna be, I think, the best because of the fact that Feral Druids are super good. DKs are gonna be super good. Assassination Rose is gonna be super good, and Shadow Priest can be super good. And Dark Iron Dwarf takes off one effect of each: disease, bleed, magic, all that, and then gives you a damage buff, right? With damage not being as good scaled right now because of the gear, it could be actually insane. It gives you a damage buff, main stat intellect based on what you dispel. So it could be really good to counter people's goes. And then you can go regular dwarf as well if you wish to for a defensive reason. Does the same thing, but then it gives you the hardened skin or stone skin or whatever it's called. Just gives you a damage reduction. So you can play either way, I think. So dwarf in general. And then human, obviously, for, will to survive. But you also get something really good, and that is the human spirit. You gain 2% more of all secondary stats: haste, crit, mastery, versatility. It's really nice for off talents, especially this early in the season. But you also get diplomacy, which reputation gains are gained by 10%, and a lot of things right now you can get early on for like PvP are through rep. So I recommend human for that. And Night Elf, Night Elf has its own decent passive with the haste and crit thing, but also, Shadow Meld can be really good, but there's not a lot of one shots that Shadow Meld is like the best for, except for like mind game stoppage. So it's good to counter other priests and maybe Warlock Soul Rots and stuff like that. So I feel like that's a good one to play on also. And then Panda brings the in cap and the versatility. You can't go wrong with Panda. It's been one of the best for Shadow Priest for a long time. You get an extra CC, you get the versatility food, but I just don't like Panda, so I'm not gonna run it. On the Horde, Panda, Goblin, Undead, and then I guess Void Elf. I think Void Elf's not all that good, but you could run it for the Blink Fears. I would say Void Elf's on the bottom. Yes, Void Elf haters, come in the chat. I know. But Undead is going to be really good, I think, because you're going to have the shadow damage reduction with everything being good. Demon Hunters, right? Demon Hunters, Warlocks, DKs, Shadow Priest. 1% damage reduction is 1% damage reduction, guys. You also have Will of Forsaken. DHs have a fear. Warlocks have a fear. Shadow Priests have a fear. So you have Warriors have a fear. So having the Will of the Forsaken is going to be really good for that too. And your Touch of the Grave dot, the dot that you get from Touch of the Grave, is gets benefit from all your shadow bonuses. So that's a +2. And then I would say Orc, but with the 10% damage, 10% CC reduction you get from your trinkets, I just don't see Orc being that good for us anymore because you only get it doesn't stack, so I don't see that being good. And yeah, Goblin, right, guys? Goblin has the Goblin jump, more mobility, and you get the 1% haste. So it's 1 or 2%. It's 1 or 2% haste. You get more haste. Can't go wrong with haste. So that's why Goblin's good. All right, now I'm done. Leave a comment, like below. I think I covered everything. If I didn't, leave a comment, and I will try to make another video. This is number 1, Rambling Shadow Priest Guide, Dragonflight. See you next.